Welcome into another edition of Sports Junkies. I'm Sparky, he's Gery, and I'm going to tell you this guy before I forget his name. Coach Jason Antanasoff.
Very good.
Yes! Oh, I've been practicing that. You have no idea. Okay, now that we
practiced it for 1 minute.
Now that we have that out of the way, he's the head coach.
That's his idea of practice. Wouldn't you like to have a player like that? Hey, I practiced for a minute.
We got a few like that.
Right, yeah. He's the head coach at Prairie, and back again this year. You joined us last year as well. Thanks for coming back. All right, so let's talk about this year's basketball team. People I talked to once I found out you were coming in all seem to think that you guys will compete for this conference this year, and you guys are on
look at this.
The verge of doing some things this year.
Putting the heat on.
What do you say to that?
Yeah, you're right. A lot of people have some high expectations of our group, but we are young. You know, we're starting 3 sophomores. 2 of them are young sophomores. They don't turn 16 till after the season.
Right.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
And as we found out the other night, Dominican's still really darn good.
No diamond stones, still good?
So it was a good learning experience for our kids, and I think throughout the course we'll have some great nights and probably some growing pains, but we want to get to a point where no matter who we're playing in our league, it could be competitive, and that has not been the case for 5+ years, maybe even 10. But I hope by the end of the season, not next year or 2 years from now, I hope by the end of the season, no matter who we're playing, with 5 minutes to go, it's a game.
Well, the easy question, I think, is this. Is it, how does it work? I got to make sure I phrase this right because I don't want to phrase it the wrong way. But as a coach, when you have a kid that everybody's going to realize when they see it's Caron Butler's son on your basketball team and that bloodline, because I remember watching Michael Jordan's kid and the trash talking that would happen from other teams. You ain't your daddy, blah, 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 and all that crap that would be said to his kids when they would play basketball. What's that like, coaching from that perspective?
It's unique, and I've taught JC since he was in 3rd grade, when he was 8 years old. And he gets that a lot, as far as, you know, most of the times when he's in the paper, it'll mention who he's the son of Caron,
Right.
But, you know, JC is his own person.
Yep.
He's a great kid. He deals with the attention just fine. I know Caron kind of coaches him through how to deal with the pressure, and he's good at shrugging things off. If people don't have positive things to say, he's good at just shrugging it off. He's very well known in the community with the Butler Elite AAU program, and he's got friends all around the community who support him and come out to watch him. So you're right, it's tough. I couldn't even imagine what it's like being him and that pressure. But
does it put an added target on the program with him on the team when you walk into a gym and play a different program?
I don't view it that way. I think it's brought a lot of positive attention to the program. We've been working to get respect for our program for a while now, and you know, having him and some other talented teammates, people are starting to know who the Prairie School is and know that we're coming to play hard and give you our best shot.
You know, the one nice thing about JC, I mean, there's a bunch of nice things about him, but he is really, really a polite young man.
Yeah.
Every time I've talked with him, he doesn't have any airs. He's kind of soft-spoken.
Sure.
He's almost introverted. I mean, at least maybe not with you,
Right.
but with a lot of people.
He's extremely humble, very respectful. He's a great teammate. He's unselfish on the court, almost to a fault. Yeah. But you're right, great kid, very smart, intelligent, does real well in school, which you better do during the season as well, JC. But you couldn't ask for a better young man. He's been raised right. His mother's phenomenal. His grandparents on both sides are great. So we're very lucky to have him around for 3 more years.
Well, that's the other thing I was going to bring up. From what I understand, his siblings moved out west to Sacramento with Caron because Caron plays with the Kings, but he wanted to stay here in Racine at Prairie. He did not want to move out west. And I think that's kind of a credit to you guys that he feels real comfortable being around you guys.
Yeah, I think when JC was in middle school, especially 7th and 8th grade, he was getting pushed and pulled a lot of different ways. Go play at Park, go play at Case, come to St. Catherine's. You know, just all his peers telling him. And I think ultimately it came down to he's comfortable at Prairie. He loves the education and the atmosphere. He's played with his teammates again since a very early age. And this group, not just the sophomores, this entire team is as close as any group I've seen. They're hanging out on their own. They don't have to be told or forced to hang out. They want to practice extra. They want to have team breakfasts and movies and things like that. So it's just a fun group to be around. And being the dean and some things I have to deal with, they're a breath of fresh air every day.
Yeah, another player I wanted to ask you about. I mean, I want to talk to you about a bunch of different guys, but McCallion, This guy's a long-range bomber. Has
is.
he ever met a shot he doesn't like?
If he's inside half court, no.
There you go.
And Troy works his tail off all off season. Extremely competitive, and he's got off to what I'm sure he'd be the first to admit to, not the best start the first 2 games, but he's going to see a lot of face guarding and special defenses this year. But we know he's going to shoot his way out of this mini slump, and no one's going to work harder to.
He had a couple games last year where he had a bunch of threes.
He I believe led all freshmen in the state in not only threes made but percentage. I don't know the exact numbers, but it was 49%.
Wow.
I don't remember how many makes or misses, but I know there were over 100 attempts and 50-something makes. So he's darn special. If you leave him open and he's got a quick release, he's going to pull now. And he's got the mentality. If he misses 3 or 4 in a row, it doesn't matter.
I like him.
I'm shooting.
He's got that fightery attitude.
He does.
He comes to compete.
Yeah,
every
and
night.
him along with a few other players, Kaufman, and we brought up another sophomore, Ladwood, kids that can just flat out shoot. If we need to set up offense, fine. But we are, if we have a good look and 1-2 passes, they got the green light.
I know we've talked about this before, but how does this work? I mean, when you're at Prairie, how does this work as far as these young kids that are coming into your program? I mean, you don't have a feeder system per se, do you?
We offer middle school basketball, which at Prairie is 5th through 8th grade.
Okay, so you could get them started. Well, that's good.
We could, and they play in the RPAL League, some of them. When they get to the 7th and 8th grade, if we have enough kids, we might have a tournament team. And a team in the RPAL League, the tournament team will play more games, more competitive.
Sure.
So we get them early.
And they're running your offense, running what you run.
7th, 8th grade.
7th,
5th,
8th grade.
6th, it's all about fundamentals, ball handling, defense.
Sure.
But 7th, 8th grade, we meet with the coaches and start implementing things.
And that makes it easier for you to call up a sophomore or two to come up and play
Absolutely.
because they've been in the system for so long. You're not reteaching people when they
Right.
get up.
And our coaching staff at the lower levels on JV2 and JV Stafford and Coach Mills do a phenomenal job of teaching it.
Yeah, that's great. Let's talk about this conference a little bit. You talked just briefly about Dominican. So what is Dominican load to bear with this year?
Well, they lose 4 starters, and they're still unbelievably good. They start their front line 6'5", 6'8", 6'9", and you just can't teach that. And you can do all the box and out drills you want to do, but if you and I are next to each other and I'm a foot taller than you. And then they got some really talented guards. They got a sophomore, Jacoby Jones, who was started on the JV team last year, so they don't miss a beat at point guard. And just a couple other really athletic, 6'1" to 6'3" kids who can really handle the ball and get after it defensively. And I think I'd be lying if I said our kids weren't pressing a little bit. It's Dominican. It's the 4-time state champs. Are they a better team than us right now? Absolutely. But 30-something better? I don't think so. But if they shoot, I think they're 28 of 46 from 2. And I think we are 2 of 15 from 3 and shot under 35% from 2.
Can't win.
Yeah, and it wasn't a lack of open looks.
Right.
We just were pressing.
Well, the most famous player, we were talking about J.C. Butler being on your team.
Right.
Giannis Antetokounmpo's brother plays for
Kostas,
Dominican. Yeah, Kostas, and I understand he went from 6'7" last year to 6'9" this year. He's growing. Your thoughts on him in his game? Is that growing as well?
It is. He is extremely skilled. I think he's still growing into his body as far as quickness and coordination and things like that. But he was in a little foul trouble in the first half, and then the second half he had a one dribble spin move, jumped off 2 feet.
Gee, I wonder where he learned that from.
Elbows above the rims, and you know that was the first time I was really like, whoa, okay, this kid's deserving of the attention. And when he goes somewhere next year, he's going to have to put on some weight and some strength. But from a skill standpoint, he's got it.
Giannis told me he is more skilled at that age than he was. He said it's not even close.
I don't doubt it. He gets to handle the ball a lot more this year.
Oh, okay.
He's not scared to pull up for the 3. Fortunately, he didn't make them against us. But he is, from a skill standpoint and that size, unbelievable. He's just got to get a little quicker and get used to the American game still. That's one thing Derek from Dominican talked about quite a bit, is he's still learning how to play basketball here.
Right. And that's an adjustment period, no question about it. So obviously you got them. Another team, St. Cat's and Bob Lech and those guys. You never want to say St. Cat's is going to have a down year, per se, over at St. Cat's every time you have Bob Lech. But what do you expect out of St. Cat's?
Well, they lose their top 6, but that coach you said and the tradition there the last
Yep.
50, 60 years, they're going to be near the top. I would be shocked if they weren't. I know they have a dynamite freshman class and some kids who I'm sure are talented ball players that would have got a lot of playing time on other teams last year that were sitting behind those top six. So they'll be good. And I know Jeff Pauled over there, and he saes, if you're going to get us, you better get us early.
There you go.
And I figure by the time January rolls around and after Christmas break and he's had them, 5, 6, 7 weeks, they'll be as tough as anyone in our league.
What about Racine Luther?
Awesome senior class. Coach Christensen's a proven winner.
Oh, yeah.
Could
his kids to, I don't know how he gets his kids to
could
play
they be in
defense
the upper
that way,
echelon
but
in your mind of that conference?
I think they can compete for a top 3 spot.
They could,
Absolutely.
okay.
Yeah, their senior class is really, really good.
Any sleepers in this conference that I haven't brought up or Gary hasn't brought up?
Well, one other thing. Sorry to interrupt you,
Okay.
but Catholic Central is also
Oh,
part
sorry.
of this.
Yep.
Catholic Central, they got a
Your
really
take
good
on them.
senior athlete, Helligenthal.
Sure.
And a couple nice other players. Their point guard as a sophomore last year stepped up and did a nice job. And Kyle Scott stepping in for Eric Henderson. That was
Right.
not easy. Eric was dynamite.
Yeah, he
and
was.
I feel like they haven't skipped a beat. Sleepers, I don't know. I think the whole league is good. Top to bottom, I don't think there's that. I don't think there's those 1 or 2 teams that you can kind of say we should definitely win.
Right.
There's
Sure.
no one bad. But St. Joe's is going to be really, really
That's
good.
what I heard. That was
they
another
got
team I've
they
heard.
got Johns and they got his little cousin who's a freshman point guard who in transition will be as good as there is in the league.
Yep.
And so every night we'll have to bring it. And our kids know that. So
Hey,
they're
Oh,
Sorry,
sorry.
go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah. I just wanted to ask one other question about your team. Of your 5 starters, 4 of them are freshmen or sophomores. Is that correct?
no 3 sophomores,
3 sophomores.
and then a junior and a senior.
Okay.
And then
So-
guys coming off the bench, we got 2 more sophomores. And then 2
Wow.
I'm sorry, a junior, Matthew Kaufman, and a senior, Nick Bissiger, who's an interesting 6'5" kid who missed most of last year with an injury. But we are, we're young, we're talented, but we're young and inexperienced. So it'll be interesting.
So they always say patience is a virtue.
Yeah.
I would imagine you're going to have a lot of patience again this year. Because I mean, but
Right.
it's an intriguing patience.
It is, and we're trying to figure out what the right thing to do is on both sides of the ball with this group. They want to play fast, probably too fast. They want to zone press all game and just force teams into taking jumpers and hope they miss. And we need to force teams to miss. So
Yeah.
we're just trying to change their mentality.
Sure.
And we got two new assistant coaches this year at the varsity
That's
level.
right.
Matt Jost, who was a student assistant at Carroll for 5 years and a Prairie alum, and then Dave Rail, who's just an amazing teacher of the game of basketball and a master motivator. He was at Shoreland for 20 years as their head coach in the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
Right.
And spent 15 years at Carthage as their head assistant. And
What a great addition.
I don't know it all or even close and don't claim
Yeah.
to. And every single day I'm learning something new from him, just listening to him talk to the kids. So I think he'll be a huge
Yeah,
addition for us.
that's outstanding. Well, one other thing. Your group of young kids kind of reminds me of Case several years ago when they had Darian King and Tyrese Pinson and that group. I think this is just going to be a fun team to watch, not only this year, but in years to come, just how
Yeah.
they progress.
I agree. We're not the biggest team around by any stretch, but we can put 5 guys on the court at all times that can handle the ball, that can hit the outside shot. And it's just an exciting style of basketball.
Sure.
And for at least 3 more years, we're going to be an up and down team and get after it. And if
Yeah,
the shots
so-
are falling, we'll have a chance.
There you go. Should be a lot of fun.
You
Yeah.
see Prairie basketball, you'll be paying attention to them going forward. That feels good, huh?
It's been
It's been a while.
a challenge, and it feels good to finally get kids who love basketball.
That's good stuff. Racine Prairie basketball, check them out. We'll talk more high school basketball next week here at RacineSportsZone.com.